United States has already had a busy day attacking.
And it was shocking and it was awesome.
Warming from a scale that will shock and awe.
Shock and awe.
Shock and awe.
If you have to ask, is this shock and awe, you're not seeing it.
We refuse to carry on business as usual while American soldiers and Iraqi civilians die under the machinery of war.
Standing up for what's right. Dead and living, we will fight. For the living, we will fight. Am I right or right? Am I right or right?
I think, rather I know, and I think most Americans know, but we just can't come to terms with coming to the reality that the reason that we're there for is for our own self-interest.
Iraq was a profitable way for our government to kind of, stabilize the oil markets and also just have a presence there. I think that's really what we're trying to do.
Well, they say they invaded Iraq for all the stuff that they had, and they didn't have anything. So it was all a lie, big lie.
Well, I think the United States is in there mostly for oil. We're just trying to use Iraq as a way to control the Middle East, control our interests in the Middle East. And, it's obvious that the Bush agenda since the beginning has been to go into Iraq, and they just use September 11th as an excuse.
They all they care about is oil and all of the stuff that doesn't even deal with this so-called democracy that exists today.
The weapons manufacturers making the money that it's spent on the war in Iraq, as well as Bush getting his oil, and I think it's about imperialism and about Bush's money.
Saddam Hussein, the president of Iraq, Afghanistan, I think he bombed the World Trade Center with the planes. We heard it a lot of times.
Baghdad, April 2003. A city which had seen numerous conquering armies now fell to the armed might of the United States. In the days after the U.S. invasion, the pillage of priceless ancient treasures from Baghdad's museums symbolized the destruction and humiliation America brought this land, the cradle of civilization. Iraq, the ancient land of Mesopotamia, the Greek word for the land between the rivers. Over 5,000 years ago, the Sumerians created humanity's first stable city-based agricultural society, invented the plow and writing. This is where law and accounting were invented, and where the Old Testament placed the Garden of Eden. Down through the millennia, the flow of human migration, war, and conquest brought a succession of civilizations. In the 13th century, Baghdad was destroyed by the invading Mongols, and the region remained economically weakened until it fell under the domination of the Turkish Ottoman Empire in the 16th century. Under Turkish rule, which lasted until World War I, Iraq consisted of 3 administrative provinces: Mosul, Baghdad, and Basra. By the end of the 19th century, the Ottoman Empire was in decline, and the Middle East had become a scene of growing rivalry among the world's colonial powers. A resource that transcended all others, oil, provided the fuel for the expansion of European and then U.S. imperialism in the region. And oil made the Middle East what the U.S. State Department later called the greatest strategic prize in history. The Anglo-Persian Oil Company, now British Petroleum, began producing oil in neighboring Iran in 1908. Winston Churchill converted the empire's ships to oil in 1912. Airplanes and tanks made their first combat appearance in World War I, underscoring petroleum's new strategic value. During the war, the British, most famously through their operative T.E. Lawrence, Lawrence of Arabia, promised independence to the people of the region, provided they allied with Britain against the Ottoman Empire. At the same time they were promising independence, the British and the French were negotiating the 1916 Sykes-Picot Agreement to carve up the Middle East between them. The British got Iraq, Palestine, and Jordan, and the French took Greater Syria, including Lebanon. Like his American counterparts today, British General Stanley Maude declared after taking Baghdad, "Our armies do not come into your cities and lands as conquerors or enemies, but as liberators." The new rulers of Mesopotamia and their imperial cartographers further inflamed the region by detaching oil-rich Kuwait from the province of Basra and formally making it a British colony. The British-French betrayal triggered a revolt for the independence of Syria, Palestine, and Iraq. The people fought so fiercely that British leaders used chemical weapons against them. Winston Churchill said, "I do not understand this squeamishness about the use of gas. I am strongly in favor of using poison gas against uncivilized tribes." Confronted with massive resistance, Britain's Lord Curzon proposed creating an Arab facade behind which the British would rule. Modern-day Iraq was created at a closed-door meeting of British officials at the Semiramis Hotel in Cairo, Egypt. 2 pro-British Iraqis were present to witness the scene. The British anointed one of the sons of Sharif Hussein, the Hashemite ruler of Mecca in what is now Saudi Arabia, as king of Iraq. His brother was made king of Jordan. There was no Iraqi national anthem, so during the coronation, the British military band played God Save the King. Their puppet king, Faisal, was forced to sign a 75-year concession granting the foreign-owned Iraq Petroleum Company all rights to the country's oil. The British ruled Iraq directly and indirectly from the end of World War I until a nationalist coup overthrew the Hashemite monarchy in 1958. After World War II, British hegemony in the Middle East was challenged and eventually supplanted by the American Empire and its voracious appetite for oil and power.
We apparently must, in this country, colonize the people in Colombia, the people in Grenada, the people in Panama, the people in the Philippines, every decade, every year, every month, bombing brown people, how people get elected here, how people run their politics here. It's been going on since 1846. It's been going on since 1790. How did it start here? How can it be stopped? Hallelujah.
This wasn't a war to liberate anyone. This was a war of conquest. And most importantly, this war was not a diversion, as a lot of the mainstream Democrats describe it, from the war on terror. It's the embodiment of the war on terror, which is actually a war of terror against the